Hello and welcome to Suzi's Book Bag. Before we launch ourselves into 2024, I thought I would take this opportunity to look back over the past year in book bag terms and see what we've been up to and how far we've come and so on and so forth. I've had a great time choosing people to pick to interview, and I think we've had some fantastic sessions over the past year that we started about March. So we've had DJ Taylor on short stories, Blake Morrison on his wonderful poetry, Scarlett Thomas, novelist, looking over her vast back catalogue, and Tom Hodgkinson, the idler. Like, a lot of these people are sort of good pals of mine. So I had a great chat with Tom, and most of the people I know, some of the people I don't, and two people I did not know were Jeremy Dyson and Andy Nyman, who were very kind and popped in to talk to me about their collaborative spy thriller, The Warlock Effect. We had a fantastic chat. They're so interesting, and the book is truly unique. On to art: Charles Darwin, Charlotte Mullins, Kelly Grovier. Yeah, we've had some great chats about art. Lots of poets have dropped in, among them Pele Cox. I mentioned Blake Morrison, John McCulloch. It's been a great year for poetry in the book bag. Who else? Robert Elms. He was the very last person I interviewed last year about his book about why we go out, why we go to gigs. Fantastic book detailing his sort of 40 years plus as a gig goer. Catherine Taylor, a wonderful memoir about growing up in Sheffield, The Stirrings. Another memoir, actually, John Walsh. I loved his book, Circus of Dreams, which is about his literary adventures in the 80s. We had a chat in that talk about Martin Amis, remembering encounters we had had with the great Martin Amis, and shortly afterwards it was announced that he died. So that was timely and poignant. Crime novels. I loved talking to Cara Hunter about her extraordinary crime novel that is told entirely with documentation, scripts, police transcripts, and so on. Murder in the Family. And shout out to the wonderful Charlie Hill, an old mate who was one of the very earliest people in the book bag, and it was just a lovely chat with him. I discussed Sam Salvan and Trinidadian literature and classics with the music critic Kevin Legendre. But really, there's sort of too many people to go back over. It's been a wonderful year. I've put up my Gibraltar book bag because that's how I ended the year. I went to the wonderful Gibraltar Literary Festival, hobnobbed with Princess Anne. She was extremely nice. Went in a lift with Theresa May, brief but memorable, and interviewed some great authors there, including James Nockety, Yeva Skajecka, the Wunderkind from Ukraine, and as usual, enjoyed the fantastic Gibraltar hospitality. It made it to the top of the rock this year, which I haven't done before, and had memorable encounters with a few of the macaques. They can be pretty fierce, actually. You've got to kind of hold your own against a macaque as against an author. So what I thought I would do, I thought I would give out some prizes, some best ofs, purely in book bag terms. So these are some little awards for people who've been on the book bag this year. Alas, there's no prize money until you all start liking and following and doing Patreon and those kinds of things. There are no cash prizes here, only eternal glory. So I thought I would begin. I haven't really interviewed many children's authors, but I'll start with the very wonderful Philip Womack. He gets the prize for children's author on the book bag this year for his terrific novel, part of a series called Ghost Lord. And also a very special thank you to Philip, because he was the very, very first person to agree to come on. So I'm hugely grateful to him. And we had a lovely chat about children's literature. Do check it out. So as I said, we've interviewed quite a lot of poets this year. And of the poets, I am going towards the inaugural Book Bag Poetry Prize to Tristram Fane Saunders. His book is called Before We Go Any Further. It's a debut. It's absolutely stupendous. I thought it was an incredibly rich and complex and funny and witty collection. And in the course of our conversation, he pointed out many things and details and intricacies that I hadn't actually noticed. It's published by Carcanet. Just a fantastic book of poetry. And also thank you to Tristram for his forbearance, for we had to interview him twice. The sound just did not work the first time round, so we had two conversations of pretty much an hour plus. Thank you, Tristram, for being so understanding and popping back into the book bag. So now we'll go on to fiction, novels. Of all the novels and novelists that we've covered this year, I have decided to plump for Amanda Craig, The Three Graces, her wonderful novel set in one of my favourite places, Italy, with its sort of altered Botticelli cover, its three octogenarian heroines. It's the way that it's sort of absolutely up to the minute with an influencer, but also has characters who are mature, taking the longer view about the foibles of man and womankind. I thought it was a terrific read. So thank you very much, Amanda, for coming on to the book bag. Can I have a runner-up? Yes, I can have a runner-up. This is my book bag. So runner-up for Novel of the Year, it's my boy Dan Jones with Wolves of Winter, the middle book in his trilogy about the 100 Years' War. It's got blood, it's got guts, it's got moral conundrums, all sorts of things. It's a brilliant read. He's made the swerve from being a historian into being a fiction writer beautifully. In terms of, obviously he has all the facts at his disposal, but he doesn't stuff his narrative with everything he knows. It's a pacey, exciting, gripping read. So I'm looking forward to the final volume in the trilogy, which I think is coming out later this year. Well done, Dan Jones. And then finally, what is the non-fiction book of the year going to be? I mean, as I've said, we've done art books and memoirs and biographies, but I have plumped for this terrific book and the terrific chat we had about it, Shakespeare's book, Chris Lautaris, because of course last year there was a lot of activity around the 400th anniversary of the publication of the first folio. This book tells that story. Shakespeare had died, so I call it a book about Shakespeare, in which Shakespeare Shakespeare isn't really in it. The intertwined lives behind the first folio, how it came about, how this book is one of the most influential books in the English language, one of the most influential books in world culture. In Chris's absolutely amazing books, you feel like you are walking the streets of Jacobean London, smelling the smells, rubbing shoulders with the poets and the printers and the vagabonds. It's a really, really stupendous book. I had a great chat with Chris about it. I had not met Chris before, so I've only met him virtually, but he was an absolute delight to talk to, and that is why I am also making it my book of 2023. Shakespeare's book, probably out in paperback soon. An absolutely wonderful work of scholarship, but also a terrific read. It's like a novel, filled with exciting characters. So apart from that, what happened this year? Well, very sadly, we had to say goodbye to some very good friends. The terrific crime writer Christopher Fowler, who well, he died in March, just before we kicked off with the book bag. So I wasn't really in time to get Chris in the book bag. So that was very, very sad, but he will be in our hearts for a very long time. Just somebody that I could ring up and talk to about books, about crime novels, about London. He was such a great know it all, really, about London. So it's very sad to say goodbye to Chris, and indeed Tobias Hill, another wonderful novelist, an absolutely terrific poet. They will be remembered for their work. They've kind of downloaded themselves in their work, so we can still hear their voices and enjoy them. I would like to just sort of pay tribute to the invisible person in the book bag, who is Simon, who does all the tech stuff. So thank you very much, Simon, for all your hard work, for putting up with writers who sit on the floor and don't have decent equipment. And indeed me, your sister, when I don't sit on the floor, but getting me up to speed with equipment has been quite a task. So thank you, Simon. I'd like to thank Timothy Salter for the banging theme tune he contributed, and Thalia Myers for playing it for us. And with that, that's pretty much wrapped up 2023. Do please hang around, see what we've got coming up. I'm lining up some interesting interviewees as we speak. So it's going to be a great year. There'll be more book bag prize winners coming up, I'm sure. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Please check out some of the ones that have gone before. I hope you enjoy them. And happy literary 2024. 2024? It sounds weird, doesn't it? To you all, thank you.